All right, welcome back. It is Veterans Day in the States, so happy Veterans Day. It sounds weird to me only because it's Remembrance Day here in Canada and throughout a lot of the rest of the world, and it's a solemn occasion along the lines of what Memorial Day does in the U.S., Remembrance Day does on the Canadian side of things. So, yeah, happy Veterans Day, and it's of course Remembrance Day here in Canada as well. Now we'll get into news. And the reason why it's not a good thing if I'm wearing your team's jersey for news videos. Because I'll see that, like, oh, it's great to see him wearing our jerseys a lot. Is it, though? Is it? I mean, for recaps, it's great. But for this, not so much. So, Columbus news, Werenski is out for the season. It sounds like it's the season. It's a torn labrum, separated his shoulder, basically. And he's out for the rest of the season. This is also on top of other injured reserve additions. Blankenberg, he gets hurt again. He just came back. Corrali, Voracek, all put on the IR, and those are big names right there. Corrali, really important bottom six guy. Voracek, one of the best passers on the team, veteran presence in the locker room. That's tough. So they had to call some guys up. They've called up Gavin Bayreuther. I like Bayreuther. He's decent as a fill-in, but you can always get him through waivers when you need to. Juracek, who admitted the last time he got called up, there was an interview in between periods where he admitted that the NHL is really fast. It's kind of tough to keep up, and I really like that honesty from him. I think that's a good sign when somebody's that honest. When it's not a player who's just no, I'll be fine now, everything's good. To admit, yeah, no, this is a struggle. This is tough. I think is important, and I think that means that he'll do what he has to get to that next level. Marcus Bjork recalled as well, and I made sure I put the first name on there because otherwise people might be like, is that Anders Bjork? No, Marcus Bjork. So, yeah, for Columbus, this is going to be quite the test, losing Werenski for the season. It's a real gut punch for Columbus fans. We'll see how the team reacts and what the rest of the season looks like. But again, they won last night to get to 4-9. It just, it really does hurt their chances of rallying and making the playoffs. Freddie Anderson's on IR. He got hurt in practice, a lower body injury. They're not saying much about it. They're saying they don't think it's going to be a week-to-week thing. However, he may not be playing in their next game either. So it's just kind of, well, I mean, he's on the IR, so there's a certain amount of time you have to stay on the IR. It's 7 days, so you can retroactively place him on there. But, yeah, we'll see how long Freddie Anderson's out for. That is always a consideration with Freddie Anderson, that he does get hurt. It's just, it's something that happens. Oiler fans, of course, Yamamoto has been sent back to Edmonton. It's an undisclosed injury, and they're going to evaluate it. So this is not great news on the heels of Kane being out for the next 3 to 4 months. And, of course, for the Oilers, absolute meltdown last night against Carolina. They looked like they were keeping up. They were doing well, and then all of a sudden, just the bottom fell out. And there's a lot of blame getting thrown at Jack Campbell. Now, I'm not saying Jack Campbell's playing well, but he has some company in terms of not playing well right now on the Oilers. The Oilers, a team that were expected to be a top contender for the Stanley Cup this year. I do think sometimes on the Canadian side of things, I think the Canadian media will tend to overhype Canadian teams a little bit. I know when I'm watching Sportsnet, they're like, well, I think Campbell's going to win the Vezina. I think Demko's going to win the Vezina. My answer was no. And I say that as a Canuck fan, and I hope Demko at some point wins Vezina, but I just went, no. The league still got Igor in it. And with Campbell, the trick really is he had never been a starter in his career until he got to Toronto. And that was a mixed bag last season. He got hurt, of course, last season. And I think that threw him off. And just he has never been a starting goaltender. And now he's got this big contract in Edmonton. It's a real weight. And I understand, too, that, like, we're not going to feel bad for a guy who's making that amount of money. But it's a lot of pressure. And for Campbell, he's been a good goaltender throughout his career, but he's never been, like, a guy who dominates highlight reels, and year after year after year, he's amongst the best when it comes to goaltenders in the NHL. So we'll see if they can bounce back from this. The other issue that I have is I don't know that Stuart Skinner is going to be an NHL level starter this year that can get them in a position where they can, make the playoffs, get home ice advantage, do all the things you need to do if you're really, truly want to look like a Stanley Cup contender. So, yeah, Edmonton's in trouble. The goal scoring is there, but on the defensive side of things, because I don't think it's just the goaltending. I think there's some defensive issues there as well. And so, yeah, we'll see where this goes for them. Good news for Caps fans. They're getting somebody back. John Carlson, it looks like, is going to return tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Carlson, of course, plays, he can play 25 plus, 26 plus minutes a game. And so we'll see, and I just mean like in a single game scenario and all that. I don't have his stats on hand, but Carlson can be a real horse on the blue line. And the Caps, of course, have missed that while he's been out. So having him back is kind of a big deal. So hopefully he's able to stay healthy and more Caps start coming back, because if they're going to salvage their season, they're going to need to get a little healthier. Arizona, this was reported on this channel a while ago, that the Tempe City Council was expected to throw this to the public, give it a public vote on whether or not this arena should be built. That public vote will be held in May. They could have had it in August, but apparently they pushed it forward to May. And so, if you're in the area, if you're able to vote, you can have a say in whether or not that building gets put up. I think it'll go through. I'd be kind of surprised if it didn't, but it's Arizona. Arizona's very unpredictable. So, yeah, we'll see how everything goes there. But, I mean, the Coyotes seem to be optimistic. Media in Arizona seems to be optimistic this building's going in. And as I've said before, if they turned it down, there are other avenues the Coyotes can go down where they still get the building. Not exactly where they want it, but they still get their building, and it's still really close to Tempe. So, yeah, we'll see how that public vote goes and then what the Coyotes do after that. But my guess is that it'll be put in place, and then as per the NHL's guarantee, once that building's in place, I think it's a 20-year guarantee the team will not be moved. I'm pretty sure it's 20 years is what they've got there. But it's a while. So basically, by the next time it would be a discussion, I'm probably not going to have the channel. Probably won't be around 20 years from now. But I just mean the channel, not necessarily me. Hopefully, I'm still around 20 years from now. Anyways, also Vancouver news. Tanner Pearson did have surgery yesterday, hand surgery. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Rough start to the season for Pearson. This does mean it's a chance for a guy like Höglander to get a more prominent spot and maybe get some goals. But for Vancouver, the season already kind of feels lost. The thing with that is they're 4-4-3 in their last 11 games. So they're playing NHL 500 over their last 11, but they have to play way better than that in order to really and truly get into the playoff hunt. And it's too bad because Calgary and Edmonton both look really vulnerable. There's definitely a place there if the Canucks could improve their record. You've got Vegas, Seattle, and LA occupying the top 3 spots in the Pacific. But, if Vancouver could get it together, I could see them challenging Seattle or LA for one of those top 3 spots. With Pearson out, we'll see what happens, right? That does also take somebody off the board in terms of players the Canucks could potentially trade, right? Because that's always a discussion locally. Kucherov is on an 11-game point streak. We'll see if he can make it 12 tonight. For Jason Robertson, I think he's on a 5-game goal-scoring streak. He's looking to make it 6. Vegas' winning streak is up to 9. Once it reaches 10, should it reach 10, I'll act surprised if it reaches 10. Then there'll be a video on that as well. But yeah, so things are going pretty well if you're a New Jersey fan or a Vegas fan right now. And outside of that, there's a lot of to be determined on how happy fans are going to be. And so some interesting movement when it comes to teams that are in or out of the playoffs. I talked about that yesterday. We're going to have to definitely do other videos on that as well. And get into which ones are actually going to stay in the hunt. We know that Tampa Bay is going to stay in the hunt. They're currently below the playoff line. I don't expect that to last. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.